Hey folks, I hope you're all good. It's me, Xander, as always, with the Team JLX podcast. And if you are listening to this on Spotify, what you may also be interested to know is this is also going live on YouTube. And the whole reason for that is that I know that some people don't have Spotify, some people don't like listening to podcasts, some people like to be more engaged because they're watching it. And equally, it's another platform which people enjoy. And fundamentally, the whole purpose of us doing these podcasts, the whole purpose of us doing information is for you. So if you ever have any questions, if you ever have any comments, any feedback, DM me on Instagram, Xander_JLX. I would love to hear it. I'd love to answer some more questions, and I'd love to make this more personal to you because obviously the questions and the answers that we give through this podcast are they're going to be caveated a lot of the time, but they tend to be more generic just because we can't personalize it to someone we don't know. So if you ever have any questions, hit us up. We'll answer them. And equally, it may also contribute to the next podcast and we can keep this going. And that's the main aim, right? To keep this going, keep delivering great information, and we can do that with participation from you guys. So please, as a favor, first and foremost, please do like and share our podcast. Don't lose your voice halfway through the intro when you've got another 10 minutes talking to do. That would be a good start. And if you have any friends and family who may benefit from this kind of thing, or colleagues, then please do send it to them because this is going to be an absolute belter. Now, this podcast is going to be on consistency. So before you switch off, you think, oh, consistent, everyone's just talking about consistency. This is very different. The reason it's very different is because we are actually going to look at the reasons people think consistency is the issue. But actually, consistency tends to be used as a blanket term for problems people don't know they have because they haven't quite figured that out yet. So hear me out. Consistency consists, in my opinion, of around 5 different things. There's kind of 5 reasons why you might not be being consistent. Now, to most people, they would look at, I've started a fat loss phase, I can't stick to my calories, consistency is my issue. But the truth is that that's not usually the case because consistency is underpinned by other things, right? It's not just, consistency is a thing. I can't just give you a tick sheet and be like, oh, do this and you'll be consistent, because consistency has so many elements to it. So we're going to approach those elements now. The most important thing of any process, in my opinion, is the goal setting element. So I talk to hundreds of people on a monthly basis through Instagram and things like that, email list, replies, and so on. And one of the biggest things that comes up is when I ask people, what's the goal? They're like, oh, I just want to lose some weight. I'm like, okay, but what's the goal? And they're like, well, I want to lose some weight. That's not a goal. That is a statement based on the fact that you feel a certain way at this point in time. That's not a goal. A goal is, I want to do X by Y because this, and if I do that, I'll benefit from this. So if you don't have a solid goal setting process, drop me a DM, just put goal setting, or say, hey Xander, it'd be nice to say hello. Hey Xander, can you send me the goal setting thing? Because we do goal setting very differently here. I don't really believe that smart goals are very smart. I think they have their place and I think they are important, but I don't think they're very smart. And I do think that there is a much better way of setting goals, and it's the exact way that we use within our team and with all of our clients at the very beginning and throughout the process to make sure they go forward and achieve the goal they set. And there's 2 parts to that, actually. One part in goal setting is the actual setting of the goal. The other part is goal acquisition. And we talk a lot about goal acquisition as well, because so many of you set goals that you never actually acquire because you don't have the tools yet to do so. So anyway, I digress as usual. The whole concept then of consistency is built around a number of things. The first one, in my opinion, I've actually written these down because 1, I waffle, as you can probably tell, and B, I forget what I'm talking about. So I've actually written these down. I've got goal setting and meaning being the first one. And when I say meaning, part of our goal setting is putting emotion and passion to the goal. Because if you don't have those 2 things, it's very difficult to be inspired to go forward and do that thing, right? So if your goal is, I want to lose 15 kilos because at the moment I am at risk of multiple health complications, I'm trying to conceive, all of these things, all of a sudden you have meaning, because if I achieve that goal, it will be easier to conceive. I can start a family. My health will be in a much better place. So when I do start that family, I will be in a position to really take care of my children with my health, and it spirals. It's a huge effect that it will have, right? So it has a lot of meaning. Whereas if you say, I just want to lose a bit of weight, and I say, why? And you say, well, my jeans feel a little bit tight. That's not a bad goal in the sense that, it's not, you don't have to have this spectacular, oh, I want to lose 15 kilos. But if you're just doing it because one day you put your jeans on and they're tight, the likelihood that you're going to facilitate a long-term process out of that, one, because the goal isn't going to take you that long to achieve, and two, it has no meaning. It's just, oh, it feels a bit tight. So goal setting and meaning is definitely the first one. And I will go into goal setting in its own one, because I could talk about goal setting for hours probably. The next one is feasibility. I don't know if I made that word up, but it sounds great and it works for me. So when we look at the goal setting and meaning perspective, if you nail those, right, even if you have the best goal in the world, if it is not feasible for you to adhere to the journey or even to do the things that are required of you within that journey, this is going to fall apart. And it's not consistency's fault then. It's the fault that actually we've set an unrealistic expectation of ourselves and the process. Easy example. You say to yourself, I want to lose 10 kilos before summer. Now, if anybody came to me now and said that, I'd say, yeah, game on, cool, we can do that. However, if you then told me that you are in a really stressful job, you work 65 hours a week, you also have a family, and you are away on business, let's say 60% of the time, all of a sudden that puts a very, very different spin on things. Now, if you said to me, look, the goal I have is just to lose the weight, a bit different, but most people actually want to lose the weight and look like they go to the gym, right? You want to look like you train. So now we're taking into consideration muscle mass, training, and possibly cardio and things like that. And when you look at that, yeah, by the way, this is absolutely still possible, but how much more complicated this becomes as a result is immeasurable. And actually, the only reason it's immeasurable is because typically everyone has different circumstances. So I have a client in mind right now, actually, who makes this very, very doable, but she has manageable responsibilities. Partner doesn't work. So typically she is the working parent, he is the stay-at-home parent, therefore it works quite well. But obviously if that was different and there were two working parents, obviously that would become more complicated. So circumstances play a huge role in this, but feasibility is a big thing. So don't just put yourself down to, I'm just the most inconsistent human being going, if the goal you set and the expectations are not feasible. The next one is accountability. Now let's say you nail your goal setting, you've set a feasible goal, but you have no accountability. Now accountability does not mean you have to be accountable to somebody else. If you set the goal, you are an adult. You can absolutely be accountable to yourself, but the best ways to do that are in physical form. It's not about sitting in bed at night going, oh, did my 10K steps, did my nutrition, sweet, yeah, I've nailed it. That's just not a good way of doing this. The best thing to do is exactly as you would if you were working with a coach. Write it down, have a tick sheet, right? What do I need to do each day? Well, I know that because I've got my feasibility and I've got my feasibility and my goal setting. So I know the process that I need to go through. However, if I put that into a sheet where I tick it off each day, I'll know and I'll get into habits and I'll be able to construct a routine that allows me to achieve the goal, right? So now we're really starting to build a process. Then I've got past experiences and mindset. Now, for past experiences and mindset, this is a lot more complicated to kind of chat through in a podcast form because you'll all have different circumstances, you'll all have different past experiences, and you'll all have very different mindsets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of blanket this one, and I'm going to say this. Your past experiences have the power to give you the knowledge to make different choices going forwards, or they have the power to ruin you like they did the first time, just in a different way. Here's my two examples. Past experiences can produce the best lessons, right? Because you'll know, oh, right, last time I did 1,200 calories, that was a bit steep. I was on 1,500, I was doing great, and then I cut it a bit too low, right? That was right. Maybe this time, because 1,500 wasn't really losing at the rate I'd like, and it wasn't quite in the optimal range, I'm going to go with 1,350. I'm going to try that. Okay, so you've now used a past experience to help you and aid you in the next process. However, if, for example, you didn't take that as a lesson, and instead what you did is you said, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, nope, I'm just not going to bother. It didn't work last time. It's probably not going to work this time. Therefore, I'm just not going to bother. So what it's done is, because you failed before, You either assume you're going to fail again, so you don't bother trying, or you get into the process and go, well, this isn't working, so you quit. So you've used past experiences basically as a measure of the future, which it tends to be a pretty bad idea when it comes to this, because your mind will want to avoid those things, but actually we were trying to create new memories, we're trying to create new ideas and new journeys and new goals, and obviously achieve those. The next one, and this is a big one, is progress tracking. I cannot tell you how many people I talk to who do not track their progress. If you were saving money for something, big holiday, house, car, maybe just even your rainy day fund, if you were saving money, would you just hope at the end of the month that you would have some money in the bank account? And then, let's say, for example, you needed that money for 6 months' time. You go, right, I'll save it for 6 months' time. Let's say you don't ever look at your bank account, and then in 6 months' time you stare at your bank account and go, shit, I don't have the money. Because you didn't track the progress, you didn't track the thing. Now, for most of you at work, and even if you're at uni, things like that, tracking is a massive part of literally everyday life for you. There will be milestones, there will be dates, there will be times, there will be accountability measures, there will be numbers, there will be so many tangible elements to each and every process that we should be able to extract them from our work and put them into our process. And as I was saying earlier, I'm just trying to think of, like, genuinely, it must be in the hundreds. I must speak to possibly even thousands of people every year who do not track their progress. And then they give up because they had no idea. Now, we take progress photos every 6 weeks. Every week's not enough to see progress. Every other week could be enough to see progress, to be fair. And if we've got clients who are dieting, we sometimes do go with that, especially for those who tend to take a long time to the scales to catch up. But if you do every 6 weeks, what can sometimes happen is people will wait and they'll start to feel a bit demotivated. The scales haven't gone down too much. They're like, oh, I don't think I'm making much progress. They take their progress photos and wham, all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, have you seen this? Get dead excited, which is great. And the reason they then are so surprised is because they've not looked at that. But we've been looking at other metrics which maybe haven't been moving as sufficiently. But we've still had other metrics. Imagine if that person had no metrics. They weren't tracking all the wins they had, the progress they'd made in other areas and things like that. You just think, what's the fucking point in this? I'm eating as well as I can. I'm training 5 days a week. I'm doing my cardio. I'm doing my steps, and I'm not getting anywhere. The honest truth is, you actually don't know that you're not getting anywhere because you're not measuring it. What you're measuring is your feelings. You're feeling like you're not getting anywhere. But it's the same as if you look outside. It's spring at the moment here, right? And we've got some really nice lilies in the garden at the moment. Tulips, really nice tulips in the garden at the moment. I don't look out there every day and go, ooh, that tulip's grown by 1 millimeter. Oh, it's doing well. I just, the other day, looked out and was like, oh, fuck, look, there's a tulip. How cool. So progress is slow, but there are so many ways you can measure it. And I'm going to give you 3 right now just to kick you off and help you. The first one is your training. Focus on your training. You will see wins in literally every session, whether that's a kilo, an extra weight. You will see so many wins there that if you don't track them, you're missing out on. And it takes you outside of your body as well. It takes you outside of food, it takes you outside the scale. So each and every rep that you increase, each and every kilo that you lift more, that's a win. We're moving forwards and it's something to focus on. The second thing to kind of measure would be your body weight, obviously. And the third one, of course, would be, I like measurements. I like tape measurements because a lot of people recomp where, for example, if they hold a lot of water, a lot of fat in one area, then that isn't necessarily, when you lose that very quickly, it may not show up on the scales, but it will show up in that area. So I like that. But essentially, what we like to do at JLX is create a trifecta, 3 phases, 3 things. So data points would be training, body weight measurements, training, body weight photos, those kinds of things. Ideally, you have 4, but appreciate that sometimes that's not possible. We would always go with 3. So to kind of round this talk off really, and the podcast in its entirety on consistency, there are so many ways and reasons why you may not be being consistent, and it'd be impossible for you to just say, I'm just not consistent, how do I fix that? Now, here's what I'd like you to do, and if you would like me to send you, I've actually got a sheet that will help you do this. And if you'd like me to send you that, just DM me on Instagram consistency and I'll send you the sheet. But basically it's how to work through these. And it's basically a step-by-step manner. It's a bit like a flowchart, to be honest. And essentially what you're doing is saying, right, do I have my goal really clear? Is it absolutely nailed in my mind of what I want to go and achieve? Yes, this is it. I can literally explain my goal to anyone if they ask me. You know how if somebody were to ask you what you do for a living and you just think, oh, just dampen it down for people because I can't be asked to explain. Imagine you were going for a job interview and they asked you, what are you currently doing? You would want to give them everything and some, right? Because you want to kind of oversell yourself. I'm not suggesting that you do that, but I'm assuming most people do try. So essentially, that's what we're trying to do here, right? We're trying to oversell. Now, I want you to have such a clear image that you can almost paint me a picture of what that looks like, what it feels like. Absolute clarity. The next one is the journey. Okay, how do we fill the journey space? What are we going to need to do in order to fulfill it, to fulfill that goal? The next one then is, is this feasible? Can I actually commit myself to this on a weekly basis, at least 80 to 90% of the time? Nobody's perfect, 100% just doesn't exist in this instance. How can I be accountable to myself? Can I have a chart? Do I need an app that will help me do it? Do I need a coach, for example? Like I'm not selling myself here. Obviously, I would do a great job, but that's a genuine consideration. If you're getting so pissed off and frustrated that you're not getting anywhere, perhaps reaching out to a coach would be a good idea, especially one who is going to pick you up from where you are and guide you to where you want to be, rather than just give you another plan and say, off you go, because obviously it doesn't fucking work. But that actually isn't coaching, so me. Past experiences and mindset. Okay, what things am I aware of that are going to be holding me back? What things am I aware of that maybe are hindering my progress or hindering me in getting to where I want to be? And then finally, progress tracking. What are the things that I'm going to track? What metrics can I track that will ensure that I am moving forwards with the process? Or if I'm not, I will have very clear data to show me why. And off the back of that, I can make changes or ask someone for their help in making those changes for me. Hopefully that makes sense. I really hope that this podcast, it's hopefully short and sharp. I can't see the time, but 17 minutes, that's actually not that bad for me. Could easily have done like 27. I hope this has been helpful. And, from my perspective, the key to this is something we always do with clients at the start of their journeys, always trying to look at how we can get crystal clear on the goal, because then when consistency is the issue, it's usually mindset then. If consistency is the issue and we've nailed all the other things, it comes down to mindset, right? Are we fearing success? Are we fearing failure? Are we fearing something else? It's often things that are holding us back, and we can undo those things, which is one of the best things we do with our clients. It's really important that you're able to work through the mindset to release the body and get the goals sorted. Folks, that is all for me today. If you would like help with this on a one-to-one basis, this is exactly what we do as a team. We obviously specialize in fat loss, but fundamentally, the thing that we do the best, and I think that it's fair to say, and I'm sure our clients would vouch for us for this, is focusing on why people can't get there. Now, if you're listening to this, chances are you probably love your training, you probably really enjoy the gym and the exercise elements, but you're struggling to actually see the results in your physique. And this is what we fix. We take people in that position, we give them more love for their training, more passion for their training, and then we take the mindset and go, right, how do we fix this? How do we work on this to really get them that result? And that's why we get great results, because it's not just a case of banging your head against a brick wall, telling you to work harder and things like that. We really do work with you to find an efficient way from where you are to where you want to be, but also help you grow and help you learn and understand why those things have held you back. So if that is something you are interested in, just reach out for a chat. The first call we always do is literally just a conversation. It's a value-based call where we'll look to help and support you with the goals that you have. And if it sounds good to you, then we can obviously progress that and we can talk more about the coaching. Have a great day, folks. Take good care. Bye for now.